Our presenter today is Matt Morin. Matt is PA Connect Manager for Project Adventure. Matt has experience in this EE field from challenge courses to residential camps. He has worked with at-risk youth and is now building tools to help professionals. Matt's also pretty darn good with technology. So Matt, I want to thank you for joining us today. Really excited to see your presentation, and let's turn it over to you now.
Thanks, Robert. I appreciate it. Let me share my screen real quick. Get this working. All right, you should all be able to see Welcome to Wilderness to Virtual. Is that true?
Looks good, Matt.
Awesome, Dan. Thank you so much. Again, thank you all so much for being here. My name is Matt Morin. And Rod, thank you for that great introduction. This is a short presentation. We have a longer presentation, a version of this, and at the symposium in a couple weeks. What we're looking at is expanding your reach and the evolution of place-based experiences. We want to kind of take a peek at how we're bringing technology into adventure education. We're going to look at development of, implementation, and reflection. Kind of been doing lots of searching over the last few years. I've gotten kind of deeper and deeper into this experience, and have found some great resources out there. One of which is Mark Collard's Plamio. He's got an amazing database online with videos and write-ups, and kind of show you one of those real quick.
Nice. Good work there. Okay. With your group of three, again, it's definitely a different group. I invite you to quickly introduce yourself, you're likely to be with people you haven't met yet, and answer this question, very topical. If you could compete in the Olympics, which event would it be? If you could compete in the Olympics, you had a choice, which event would you compete in? Share that, plus a little bit about who you are with your group of three. Go.
One of the reasons I share this video is I think one of the great resources we have as facilitators, whether we're new to the field or a long-time trainer, if we haven't run an activity recently, we've got that traditional resource. We can go run to the bookshelf or run to that description in your back pocket, and you can kind of read it and try to figure it out. What Mark's doing here is he's taking that same sort of content, but he's making it visual and audio. So, you can have your smartphone out in the middle of the activity, the group's doing something, you can try to remember, or you can pull up the video and hit play and actually see what his suggestions are right there live on screen, which is a pretty amazing resource. You can also print out narratives. You can read a how-to or other variations. It's a great resource. Kids Outdoors is another one. They're bringing that social aspect back in. They've got a great interactive map with all sorts of different activities going on from coast to coast. And they're also doing a lot of video editing themselves. Take a little bit different approach, and less of an instructional video, and more of a this is what we're doing, these are our clients, join us sort of video. So another great way to use technology in videos and YouTube. That's Kids Outdoors. You can find their site online. My personal favorite, PA Connect, and we won't spend a whole lot of time here, but we'll come back to it a little bit later. So looking more at implementation, it's one thing to go and create a whole bunch of videos and put them on Facebook, but you really got to think about how you're going to use them, what you want to use them for, and then your audience. So if you start thinking about the whole pre-program experience, you can kind of look at resources for you as a trainer, and then look at do you want to send a video clip to a group before they come? Maybe it's something about challenge by choice or the experiential learning cycle. They can really kind of start getting that gist of what we're going to be doing before the program even happens. You look at how we'll use implementation during the program and then post-program as well. When we start talking about reflection, there's some really neat ways to start using it. So whether it's research, again, or how you actually interact with technology in the field. I've been working with groups most recently. I've actually created a digital debrief online, which is a Flickr feed. And there's probably 50 or 60 photos, kind of like postcards, that you can just swipe right through. And the cool thing is, instead of having the cards out on the ground, all the kids, participants usually always have smartphones with them. You actually give them a QR code right there. They can scan it in, pick the image they want to use, and then actually share their image right on their screen, which is another neat way of using it. How do we develop these experiences? So lots of different ways. Whether you're a writer or someone who's good behind the camera or video camera, there's still lots of different things you can do. And one of the most important things is kind of knowing your own strengths. So if you're a great writer, make sure you're the one doing all the draft. I'm not a great writer, so I have lots of people actually edit my text, and occasionally there's still issues. But I've gotten pretty good at still photography and video editing, and we'll talk about programs to work those over a little bit later. Things I've been using here at PA. I'm using WordPress to edit all of my website. So we've got close to 300 or so pages, and a whole bunch of plugins. So trying to figure out, again, what works best for you and how you want to implement stuff or implement the experience for the participant. But you look at widgets, you look at plugins, you look at all that fun stuff for WordPress. And then as you transition into Photoshop, it's really about taking imagery and pulling out what you want and putting it where you want on your website or your social media. Final Cut is kind of a whole lot like iMovie in the world of Mac. I've done some editing in Windows, but since coming to PA and having the opportunity to work behind a Mac, it's definitely a bit faster, a bit smoother transition for me. So we've been sticking with Final Cut, but we're able to overlay audio, word bubbles. We're able to embed clickable links right into the video. So as you're watching it on YouTube, you can click on the link, pops right up, opens up a new web page. Also gives resources for people, the viewers, to go back to later. And how do you really integrate it? So I've been talking about what's comfortable for you and what's not comfortable. This is all kind of scary. My suggestion is start playing with it. It really wasn't that comfortable for me even 4 or 5 years ago, but as I started working with it more and more, to get more and more comfortable. I think we're all pretty familiar with comfort zones. But you also kind of want to take a look at the grabs and kind of pull out the individual aspects and kind of make a plan. So once you get that plan, then you can figure out the implementation and the interaction part. And then there's the test. So once you've actually started implementing technology into your experiences, whether it's just virtually online at your website or your trainers are actually using it in the field, you want to make sure it's doing the right stuff and getting the resources you actually want, or the outcomes that you want with your participants. A lot of the big tools that we've been using, YouTube's a huge one. We'll talk about that. Issuu is our online publishing resource. And then we can kind of dive into or just take a peek at social media, which is getting bigger and bigger every day. So some nice stuff about YouTube is you can actually set up your own channel, and then you can actually set up your own, I'm forgetting the name of it right now. You can actually set up a playlist. So in your channel, you can have different playlists. And for example, if I wanted to set up 5 videos that were all tech-based, I can actually set up a channel, then 4 or 5 chapters where once you play one video, the next one auto plays. So I might teach how to tie a bowline. I might teach how to tie a figure 8 with a backup. I might show people how to actually wear a harness and a helmet. You might save 5 minutes in the end, but having that content and being able to even refresh your staff memory is pretty cool. Big piece of why we're using YouTube. A, it's free. B, it's super simple to share over lots of different platforms. Whether you're using a website or just on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn, you can actually grab the short code, or you can just grab the embed code. So you can grab an iframe right out, totally customize it, shape, color, size. It's really awesome. And it's got the whole creator studio. So if you're not running Final Cut and you don't have access to non-copyrighted audio, this allows you to actually take audio right from their library, dump it in over the top of your video, or add an entrance and exit, top and tail, if you will. And then you can also add different links. So if you wanted to add a link back to your website at the end, or if you wanted to add a link mid-video, you can do that too. And it's all right through the Creator Studio at YouTube. Issuu is probably one of my biggest resources I've been using. You can get a free or subscription-based model. The free side, you definitely can't publish as much, but when you get into the paid stuff, you protect content, you can share what you want and not what you want. You can actually create different variations, so you can go through the editing process. But this is very similar to YouTube, where take a PDF, take a book, dump it into Issuu, and then it's a flippable page type of content. So you actually go in, search word for word. Like The 100th Monkey by Nate Fullen. When you go into PA Connect, if you're a free user, you're going to have limited access to all of the content. But if you're a paid user, you're going to have all the access. So in Issuu, I've got 2 different publications, one that's a bit smaller and one that's the full thing. And I'm able to actually embed those right in my website. And depending on what type of user you are, you will see each publication. So they're both hidden, they're both completely safe, but Issuu is a great option if you're trying to embed documents and content that you kind of want to keep safe or kind of want to share in lots of different ways. But it's also fully editable. You can put your own links into it. You can put your own logos into it. Lots of great stuff here. Social media. So Facebook is Facebook. If you're not using it, you probably ought to. Facebook allows you to kind of start that grassroots communication with your clients, and the super simple way to share photos with people. So one of the things I would do at one of my zipline tour companies was, every time a group came through, I'd post a picture up and say 12 o'clock tour, tag them if you know them. And then I'd tell the group as they were going out, hey, just so you all know, when you get back, you'll already be on Facebook. Make sure and check in and tag yourself. And what that'll do is it'll automatically start generating more and more people to your site, which is just another free way to get clients. Twitter, it's a little more advanced. If you're not aware of how to use it, I definitely suggest talking to some kids. They know how to use it really well. They also know what's safe, what's not safe. But if you're also quite comfortable yourself, there's lots of other ways to really interact with people on Twitter, and it keeps people up to date in a live fashion, which is kind of fun. Flickr and Instagram, they're great photo sharing opportunities. So Flickr, the nice thing about them right now is they've got close to a terabyte, absolutely free. So without paying a single penny, that's 1,000 gigs. It's a lot of space. I just uploaded over 1,000 pictures from this past weekend's Northeast Regional AEE conference. So all free, all easy. You can see the full image. You can tag images. You can do everything. It's a great resource. Website work. If you've got one and you haven't edited it in a while, it's really something you should look at doing either weekly or every day. People want to see new stuff. If they're going to your site and nothing changes, you constantly want to be updating it. It's super important. see if I've actually left the slide in. Yeah. You know, think about what your message is. Think about what people are seeing. So if people are coming to your website and it just happens to be summertime outside or springtime like it is right now, and you have pictures of snow, they're not going to want to feel that, it's wintertime, like, I don't want to go to that program feel. Whereas if you put a summertime picture up, it's going to really drive people. It's all about that marketing piece of it. But think about what you want to say and how you say it and what people are actually reading from those pages. The content is another big piece. The content is another really big piece. 5-10 years ago, when people would go to your website, you wanted them to be able to find every single bit or every single piece of information they could right from your website. And as things have evolved on the site, online, you're finding less and less words and more pictures and video content. Because a picture can say a lot more than just a few words, and a video can say even more than that. So when you're building a web page, when I'm building a web page, I'm thinking, I want 2 or 3 lines from one of my trainers and a picture. Because the nonverbal expressions that the clients see in those pictures, that's what's going to be really important to the clients. And then lastly, about website work is just keep it simple. There's no reason for a marketing site or that initial contact site to be hundreds and hundreds of pages. If you've got 1 or 2, maybe 5, 10 great pages, outline what you're doing, how you're doing it, outline how people can interact with you, then you're gonna have a great opportunity. A little bit more about PA Connect. If you haven't heard about it, it is relatively new. We're close to 1,700 users, and the big takeaway from this is that we're trying to connect people to people, and then those people to great content. So it's not just our content. We share lots of live stream stuff, but there's a whole social interaction piece that you can get into people with, and have private messages, have chat functionality. You can share your story, you can share video, you can share your own links and resources that you found. I've got a client, or a user I should say, from Canada, and he built some pretty amazing climbing tables, and he uses them with his students all the time. So he took some quick videos with his cell phone, uploaded them to YouTube, and shared the link on PA Connect. So now you can actually go in and see his climbing table design, talks about how to build it, talks about how to interact with it, and shows kids doing it, which is really kind of awesome. We do a couple different models. It's mostly free, but then there's the option to upgrade and have full access to everything. So I really wanted to open it up to questions. I know I'm running a little bit quick, but if Rob or Dan could come back on and help out with questions, or if people have questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Kind of go back over any of the spots I might have missed. All right. Are there certain tools that you can recommend for a program doing nothing currently? Yeah. First things first, get right on Facebook. Share your ideas. Invite your friends. Invite clients. So Facebook, you take some quick pictures with your cell phone, you upload them super quick, and then go right into creating a couple of videos if you can. But what you can ask your users to do is, after you've told them you have a Facebook page, have them share their experience. It's super simple and really free. Nathan is going to ask, is the Prezi going to be available online? Yes, and the full version will be. We cut up probably 40 or so slides out just for time's sake. Dan's asking about how to use Twitter and why it's cool. So you can interact right on your desktop, but the nice thing is you can pull up your smartphone and you can have your connectivity right there. So if you're out on a program, you can Twitter out and just say, you're with such and such a school. You can connect it with their Facebook account or their Twitter account, share some pictures, but it allows you to start a buzz. Someone's asking why they don't see people's questions. It's a good question. I'm not sure why. How should I expect to allocate staff time on this type of work? It's a challenge. I can tell you what we're doing here. So it's kind of been an uphill battle around, how do we balance things out? What do you choose to do? How do you choose to spend your time? Where do you choose to spend your time? What I can say is it's become more and more apparent that even if we spend the first 5 minutes and the last 5 minutes of every day just connecting on Facebook with a client or sharing a picture or sharing a story, that is absolutely huge. It's less important for your non-program or non-delivery staff to interact. At the same time, it's huge if you have a salesperson or if you have a marketing person, if they're popping online throughout the day, or if they're able to interact throughout the day, that's going to have a huge impact on how clients interact with you, whether it be through your website, through Facebook, through Twitter, et cetera, et cetera. Does that answer your question? Is it possible to connect a selling program with PA? It's an interesting question. I would have to connect with you again later, and I think Rob will be able to share my direct contact information. So what I would do is have you reach out to me by email, and I will pass your information on to the important person. Let's see. I would love to hear if you use tools to continue the reflection and learning process post-program. We do, and actually in the full presentation in a couple weeks, there's actually a form built right into this presentation. So the client comes in, the group comes in, they'll see the video, and they'll have a link up live. They can actually click right into that, watch a short video, and then share some responses. It's kind of how we start the experience. And then we go through the presentation, and at the end, they watch another video and give more feedback. The nice thing here is we use constant contact a lot. So once we get you in, we actually set up a drip system. So in a week, you get another email from us asking how we did, any suggestions, any reflections that you have. And 2 weeks later, we ask if you connected with us through PA Connect, which kind of gives us some information and kind of some direction forward. How often should posts be made on Facebook? What we're finding right now is 2 to 3 times a week is really good, especially if it's more of a marketing or salesy pitch on Facebook. If you're posting pictures of people and interacting with those people online, it's a totally different situation. So if you've got 3 or 4 groups out there and you want to just share a couple pictures throughout the day, that's really big. But if you want to share a longer story or a link to a publication or publication or discussion forum thread somewhere, I usually save those every couple days. We've actually found some decrease in numbers of interaction over the long span. So we were doing it too often. We decreased our interaction a little bit, and more people started interacting with those posts. Nathan asks if we see issues arising from participants being involved with social media devices during the programming. At first we did, and what that took was just our staff changing their paradigm a little bit around how they asked the group to be involved or to be present. So right in the beginning, just like we talk about challenge by choice or playing hard, being safe, you take that same sort of discussion process and you add in technology. So it's absolutely great. It's not great if you're belaying someone. You need both your hands to belay someone. So be cognizant of what you're doing when you're doing it. If everyone's taking pictures, now we get 5 copies of the same picture. So just like a ladder holder would have a job, ask someone to take pictures. If the kids are getting too involved with their device, or if adults are getting too involved with the device and they're starting to do other things, it's a great opportunity to check back in and ask if people are being present. Did that answer your question, Nathan? Awesome. Do you have a particularly creative example of PA program you've translated online? Yeah. We actually did a whole corporate training Recently, Paul Radcliffe was the lead trainer, and we had clients, some in Maine, some in California, some all over the US, and then a couple actually out of the country. What we're able to do is do a lot of activities by using Prezi, by using an email prior to the experience. We're able to send them certain content and have them go through that packet with us online. So we were here, we would be able to ask the group a question, just like you're all asking questions now on the chat, the Q&A function. What we're actually able to do is have them turn on their cameras or raise their hand or unmute themselves to ask a question for the entire group, and they were able to have a discussion after that. Just like we're able to put a video in. We've got lots of great videos online around challenge by choice, experiential learning cycle, full value contract, the kind of history, and a few others. But then there's also activities. So you could actually have a group watch an activity and then play it out in their individual roles. I don't know if that answers your question or not. You have strategy to share about how to drive people to participate and to interact in Facebook. It's a pretty basic one. It's just making sure that you're communicating to the group what you're using and how you're using it. So the first thing is, if you have a photo release waiver, you should think probably about adjusting that a bit. What you don't want to do is have a photo release and not have a single signature on the release line. So what we've done here is we've changed it slightly. It's more of an opt-out option. So as we're talking about the opt-out option and telling people there's a photographer out on course, or if the kids are taking pictures, just see if you offer up the opportunity to have clients back out of that option. So if someone doesn't want their picture taken, they're going to tell you. We've been okay with that. So once you get over that kind of hurdle, then you start looking at, all right, where do I want to drive people to go? Is it Facebook? Is it Twitter? Is it LinkedIn? The reality is you've probably already got content there. So if kids are on your site, if adults are on your site, they're going to be posting stuff about where they are. And if you can add content to that, especially content that you want people to see, it's a great opportunity, great way to push down some of the negative content. I don't know if all of that answers your question. Woody asks, for teens, when a part of the purpose is to encourage them to disconnect, for teens with all right, well, I guess I'm reading this question. I'm having a little bit of a hard time reading it, but the part I take away is the question is, how do you get the client to engage and disengage with technology? It's all around that conversational piece that you have as the trainer, the direct service person with that group. So you talk about it, you set some expectations up ahead of time, and you maintain it. And my suggestion is set the expectations high and call people out on it quickly. If you let things go, I've seen some of my staff do a great job of setting it up first, and they're only taking pictures when they need it. But then other times, like you'll see kids, some staff haven't gotten the handle of it yet, and you'll see kids texting on the side. And as program management, it falls on everyone's responsibility to make sure and check in and say, have you had this discussion? You talk to the trainers, you talk to the experience and the group, and you kind of help share that model as a whole. Andrew's asking if we've ever run into issues with privacy or legality of videos, pictures on the participant on YouTube or Issuu. So Issuu, all the content that we post there is our own, unless we're able to find other clients who've posted content there. So if I'm hoping that we can share content from somebody else, I'll actually ask them if they can post it to Issuu, which is slightly different than YouTube. And if they do that, great. Then I can actually ask them permission to share their Issuu content. It's something that the generator or the creator of their content has to share with you the links. As far as YouTube goes, it goes back to whatever your form kind of leads people to. If they have to sign to allow their picture to be taken, they might set you up for failure. Whereas if they're signing or if they have the option to opt out, it's a little bit different. I'm trying to see if I answered that question. I think I got those questions. Melanie asks, I would love to hear if you used these tools to continue the reflection and learning process post-program. I think I answered that a little bit before. We do. We send out feedback forms. We send out videos for people to watch. And then we make an opportunity or make it priority to connect with them on PA Connect, which is really kind of cool. Chris is asking, how are you getting their content, photos, videos, etc.? The staff capture on the course to the various channels. It's kind of nice in my role here at PA Connect, or at PA. I'm the only one posting content. Angel Burnell actually posts stuff to Facebook for PA, so it's a little bit different. But we ask clients to check in with us. They can send us a text. They can send us a link. If they're creating videos, I ask them to set up their own account and post the stuff, and then tell me they've done that. And then what I'll do is I'll go to their own account and I'll share their experience. So if they posted a 30-second video or a 5-second video, I'll click on that and share that. But what they'll do is usually is they'll share it right to our news feed. But the end client, the end community of Facebook doesn't see that. They only see our posts. They have to dig a little bit deeper to see other people's posts. So once I see that post, or once they've told me about that post, I'll go and click that and share it, and it comes up on our main screen. What efforts are made to push out content to users after the experience? One of the big things we do is we grab as many emails as we can. We have a short form that people can fill out right from their smart device if they scan a QR code. But there's also great opportunities to just have conversations about pictures are going to be up today on Facebook. Make sure you check them out. And people are always really curious about what type of pictures on Facebook. So they're going to go there. The same with Twitter, Flickr, LinkedIn, et cetera, et cetera. Dane's asking, what do you think about the trend of online portfolios for outdoor experiential educators? From a program employer perspective, do you see this as becoming more important in the industry? Personally, absolutely. It's not only easier for me to save it online. If I lose a disk or if I lose a document, my hard drive crashes, it's already there. But if I can share that online with employers, that's huge. I think about both PA Connect in the future and what LinkedIn is doing, and having that backpack of experiences that people have actually checked off on and people have recommended you for speaks a lot. So if you've taken X training with PA or Y training with High Five or whomever the vendor is, you start building those up, and you've got a great way to save them right online. I think that'll be huge. What he's asking, can you speak more to the drip system and how it works? Constant Contact is the tool that we use. I know there's other ones out there. I couldn't name off what they are. But the nice thing is once we have an email from someone, we don't have to send them all the information right at once. And I think that's really important. So as you're interacting with clients, you don't want to just send them a million emails. You don't want to you don't want to be unfriended. But I think it's important to share information. And sometimes companies will, get an email and they'll be really excited and send this big long email and hope for interaction back immediately. Well, I think there's some numbers out and some research out around, it takes 4 or 5 emails, sometimes even 10 emails during different times of day and different days before a client will actually interact back. So we use drip content with Constant Contact. You can set up different emails. So when a user registers for PA Connect, they get an instant email saying, thank you, welcome to PA Connect. We hope you find these next 7 or 8 resources really helpful. A week later, it says, have you seen XYZ on PA Connect? What do you think about them? We'd love to hear your feedback in the discussion forums. Another week later, we send in a similar email introducing people to more and more content that we already have online. You use the same thing for, have you seen our posts in Facebook recently? You could ask the same questions around, what are you doing in your school? So you just start thinking about what you hope to pull out from those clients that you've already been with to keep the conversation going. There's some great resources outside of PA Connect to have discussions, have email threads. You can create a Facebook group, which is pretty simple, where you invite all the people into a private group and share those conversations behind the curtain of Facebook. The downfalls is I think everyone's realized that not everyone's on Facebook. So you try to find another place to do that. I'm looking if there's any more questions. That might be it for questions. I hope I've answered them all. Hey, Rob.
Yeah, here I am. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah.
It looks like we haven't run through all the questions. Hey, for the technologically challenged, such as myself, this was really helpful. Thanks very much for walking through that presentation, and thank you for adapting your 90-minute workshop at the symposium down to this webinar, this shorter webinar format. So I want to point all of you to some information about our upcoming symposium, EE in the Digital Age, and then we're going to close today with a brief poll to collect your feedback on this webinar format that we've done today. Experiential education in the digital age is taking place in 2 weeks. It's Saturday, Sunday, May 2nd and 3rd. It's co-hosted by the Questrom School of Business at Boston University and Thompson Island Outward Bound Education Center. We're going to spend the first day, Saturday, on the campus of Boston University using the management, the business schools, classrooms. It's a really high-tech equipment that they've invested in there. And then we're going to, in the late afternoon, we're going to hop on a ferry and go out into Boston Harbor to Thompson Island and spend the first half of the day on Sunday disconnected from technology and really comparing the two experiences. We've got about 20 workshops lined up for the day and a half. It's really going to be a terrific program. We've also built a series of different content presentations around this symposium, and you can go to the AEE website to the EE and the Digital Age page, and you'll see blog postings with interviews with a number of the workshop presenters. Excuse me. You'll see a video presentation, an introduction to Boston and everything to expect if you're attending the workshop. Just an example right there of how we can use technology in these online formats for our content and integrating them into the in-person experience. So even if you're not able to join us for this symposium, I encourage you to go online and just see how we're integrating different types of content and presentation into our marketing for the symposium experience. Dan, are you ready to go with the poll here at the end?
Sure thing.
I want to thank you all for joining us today for this first webinar. Take a moment here to give us some real top view input on how this webinar has gone, and enjoy your afternoon or evening, depending on which time zone you're in. Thank you all very much.